Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca, and here on my little corner of the web, I like to talk about budgeting and lifestyle, and today I am sharing my very first budget with me for 2022, and you'll notice that I am filming in a little bit of a different format. So I am trying something new. Instead of planning on paper and you getting to just see my hands, I am going to be planning on Excel. This is something I actually have been doing for a while. I started planning on paper, and then as it got more complicated and I started calculating more things, I made an Excel budget, but then I would just copy everything that I wrote in Excel down on paper, and then I just figured, why am I going to all the extra trouble when I could just stay in Excel? So that is what I'm going to be experimenting with. So as you can see on the screen, I have my budget template for January 2022. So I am going to do this similarly, but maybe skipping around a little bit than I usually do based on just what it looks like on the page. So I have it as close to as how I was doing it on paper. So the first thing is my income. And I have blocked the top 3 sources of income out for my husband's privacy. He doesn't ask to be on the internet, but I am sharing my personal business income. So I recently, or I guess recently is a relative term, in August, if you haven't seen most of my videos, I quit one of my part-time jobs. I had 2, both in nonprofit development, and I had already kind of had it in the works, but I wasn't doing anything with my business as an event planner, but I got serious with it in August when we paid off all our debt, and now I have enough clients that I am able to start taking a paycheck. So for January, I'm planning on having $442.63, and I base this number off of everything I do accrual accounting. So everything that I know I have coming in and everything that I know I have to expense, as opposed to just looking at what I have in the bank, if that makes sense. I'm not an accountant, but I do the bookkeeping for my nonprofit job. So that's kind of my extent of that knowledge, but that's how I come up with a safe paycheck amount. So that is my business paycheck that I'm planning on taking. So our total household budget that I'm planning on for January is $5,142.63. And this number, I'm hoping that it'll be higher, but I am trying to play it safe. So to the right, this section that's blocked out actually is how I calculate my husband's paychecks. So this is what I've always been doing online, and I just haven't shown you guys because he is self-employed as a music teacher, and then also as a I don't remember, a draftsman for an architect. That's what it's called. He gets, just the gross amount, and then we have to pay taxes on that. So what I do, he sets aside, of every time he gets paid, he sets aside 22% in taxes, and then I have this set up so every time he gets a payment, I put the gross amount into the little box, and then it calculates a formula into our budget, our actual amount of that times 0.78, so to basically get the net. And so that's what that box is for, and that's just the easiest way for me to do that. And then moving down to our expenses. So the first thing in our budget is always giving. We give to our church and other organizations, and I've blocked out, so we regularly give to 3 charities. We have monthly recurring gifts. And I just blocked out their personal names because I didn't want to, one of them is actually the nonprofit where I work, and I didn't want to make that a privacy issue. So we just try to make sure always that our total giving amount is more than 10% of our income. And then to the right of this is my little indicator that lets me know if the budget is balanced or not. So normally I would put this at the bottom, but I like looking at it at the top so that I can make all of my adjustments immediately when looking in the budget when I open the spreadsheet. So as you can see, I have made it a zero-based budget, which is what we do, give every dollar a name and allocate it all. But the actual it shows as a negative because how I do this is for our sinking funds, I calculate the amount we're going to put in, and I just pretend that we've already spent that. So it always starts as a negative amount, but we really haven't actually spent that. So moving down to bills, these are our regular bills that have always been in our budget. So the first one is our mortgage at $1,200. The next one is our phone bill. So this number has gone up because I used to just pay for my phone bill, which was $44, but then I added the cellular plan for a watch that I was given as a birthday gift, an Apple Watch, and that added $10. And then just in December, Jared got on a new phone plan, so he's now like paying for his portion, which he should have been doing really a long time ago, but he's just now doing that. So we're not quite sure how much that is going to be because, we don't know how the final bill is going to fall, but we think it's going to be $50 a month. So I've just budgeted for $104. So this has definitely increased a lot, but we should have been paying this much anyway. Okay, and then Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is through AT&T, and it's always $71.15. Electricity, I've already gotten the bills for the next 3 utility bills for January. So electricity is going to be $104.14. Water, sewer, trash is going to be $115.66. And natural gas is going to be $126.41. And that is really high. I guess this is for November, so that's the first month that we would have used heat. And we use natural gas to heat our house, so that is more expensive. And because we live in Texas, we are not used to the cold, so we put the heat on if it's under 60 degrees, honestly. But yeah, and then our car insurance, we have Geico, and it's $152.91. Jared's health insurance is $160.37. And then life insurance for both of us is $59.13. And then my gym membership is $21.60. So those are all of our bills. And then next we have our variable expenses. So for groceries and household, we're budgeting $450. For eating out, we're budgeting $180. For gas, we're budgeting $100. We are not, I don't have any big events in January, and we're not going out of town until we actually are taking an international trip right at the end of January, so on January 29th, so I don't know how much that'll affect gas because we just have to drive to the airport. But and then Jared and I each get an allowance for $100, so Jared's and mine, and then I have a line item in here for my business, and usually this is at zero because I use my business separate bank account to do all of my expenses for that. But on occasion, I'll buy something that it really isn't, I don't want to use my business debit card for it, something like maybe a new pair of black pants, because I will also use those for other things, but I know that I'm buying it because I need it for my business, so I want to make sure that that is not counted as my allowance, but it's counted as business, just so that I still get to use my full allowance amount, if that makes sense. And then subscriptions, we have various subscriptions, and I just put $60 as kind of a catch-all amount in there. And then miscellaneous, we always budget $100 for miscellaneous expenses that come up. And house. I don't really know if I even need this line item right now, but I have a line item for home items, home decor mostly. And this is because we bought our first home in last September, so over a year, but we moved in April of 2021, so I'm currently filming this at the end of 2021, but anyway, we have been buying new stuff for the house because, it's our first house. We came from an apartment, so we've had to buy just new stuff. But I kind of think that we are coming up on the end of everything we need for that. So I'm going to leave this here for now, but we don't have anything that I think that we are going to purchase specifically. So the next line item is our sinking funds and our savings. And for sinking funds, okay, so what I've done here is I've blocked out the minus and finish number because I don't want this to be confusing because I have not finished the month of January, so whatever numbers in there aren't accurate yet because there's $0 in the minus category, if that makes sense. So I do have the start amounts for each of these sinking funds in here, and something could change in the next couple days. I'm filming this in December, and we may have an expense in one of these categories, so it may change, but I think we're kind of squared away with all of those. So I went ahead and shared that. So all of our sinking funds are in one bank account, and this spreadsheet, section specifically, helps me know which amount goes to which sinking fund. So for home maintenance, we're planning to add $80, and we started with $475. For renovation, we're planning to add $30. Again, we don't have anything planned for renovation, but this is just because things come up all the time, little things, and they're so expensive. And then travel. So this one is where we are putting every extra dollar, which is why it's not an even round amount. So in December, we finished our emergency fund to $10,000, which was the goal we were working on in addition to travel. So now we are putting all of our money towards travel because we have two really we have 2 trips coming up. One is coming up actually in the month of January, right at the end. It's mostly in February. We're taking a 2-week trip to Belize, actually for my husband's kind of like a band tour reunion. He used to live there, and he is a musician, and so every year they do a reunion, and it's kind of like an all expenses paid trip. The only thing you have to pay for is your flight, and we had some flight credits, so I was like, sure, why not? We'll go, a free Caribbean vacation. So we are saving for that, but then we also have planned a really big trip to Europe. We're planning on spending 2 months there this summer, so June and July, and I have already started booking travel for that. So you'll see that this fund has significantly dropped. We were at about, I think, $3,000 maybe, but in December I booked flights, and I booked 2 Airbnbs for a month each. So that kind of took out what we had in the fund, but I wanted to go ahead and get those things squared away, and the other smaller things that we need to book won't be until closer. So it's totally okay to be lower, but we are trying to like fill that up constantly. And then gifts. So every month we just put in $100 for gifts. And Christmas we're doing $25, and if we have higher income, I would like to put more in this month, but we'll see what happens. And I like doing it now on the computer because before, when I was doing paper, I'd have to white out if I decided to add more or less to a category, and now I don't have to worry about that. So the next item is health. We're adding $50 to this, and really we should be adding more. This is just kind of how it's working with the income that I've got planned here. And then auto, we're planning to add $80, so that's a total of $969.11 to our sinking funds. And then our savings items. So really here we're just doing investments because we have our emergency fund to $10,000, which is where we wanted it before we kind of try to get to the next step, which is $15,000. And then our buffer, we keep a checking account buffer of $3,500. We're not planning on adding any to it in January. And then investments, we are planning to add $400 in, like, to split between our Roth IRAs this month, and we'll see how that works out. So that's all of our savings items at just $400. And then for the other, or not for the other, but I have here this little chart that categorizes how everything is broken down, where our money is going, and this is just based on our budget. So I need to make another one based on actuals to see where they go, because I've been doing this online and it's been really good to see, you know, a lot of times you see online recommended like a 50% of your income be spent on like the things you need. I think 30% on things that you want and 20% on saving. And so this kind of helps me see where we are with that. So we currently have around 63% towards bills and just expenses. So some of that's things that we need, some of those are things that we want. And then about 25 to savings, various kinds, and then 10% towards giving. But every time that we put in our actuals and we have more income than we planned, the savings parts go up and the variable expense portion goes down. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this new format that I'm doing. It was definitely different for me, and it may have been a little scattered as I am trying to navigate this new format. But I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I don't wanna stay here.